Turns out Hollywood actresses are whores. Turns out the commissioner of the NFL is a whore. Turns out New York Times reporters are whores. And so tell me, are you beginning to detect a pattern yet? My name's Howard Riell, and this is Riell Truth. You're listening to the American Freedom Network, streaming live around the world at AmericanNewsNet.com and on Facebook, YouTube, Tumblr, and the book Riell Truth, Stay Angry. And of course, as always, broadcasting out across the Colorado Front Range on KHNC, Johnstown, Colorado, 1360 AM, The Lion. The call-in number 877-254-7524. My friends, welcome back. Item from the Daily Mail. Fashion designer Donna Karan comes to Harvey Weinstein's defense, suggesting his victims may have been asking for it by the way they dress, calling the shamed mogul and his wife, quote, wonderful people. Donna Karan, 69, defended Weinstein, 65, during a red carpet interview at the Cine Fashion Film Awards on Sunday. She told a reporter, quote, we have to look at ourselves and question how women are presenting themselves and their sexuality. The fashion designer's comments come after many Hollywood stars denounced the film producer after he was accused of sexually harassing multiple women. When asked whether Hollywood had been busted, she replied with a smile, saying Weinstein isn't solely to blame. Rose McGowan, one of Weinstein's alleged victims, called Karan deplorable and said aiding and abetting the producer was a crime. In a statement released early Tuesday morning, Karan said her comments were taken out of context and apologized, quote, to anyone I offended and victims of abuse, unquote. All right, folks, that's the Hollywood version. Now here's the real truth of it. Hollywood actresses are appalled that Harvey Weinstein would do what he did. These are the Hollywood actresses who bare their boobs and shake their butts for fame and fortune. And so they cozy up to guys like Harvey Weinstein, who can make or break their career, who are worth tens of millions of dollars, movers and shakers, and they do everything for them that they possibly can. Hint, hint. And I'm not even talking about the Hollywood nitwit liberals who are hypocrites and liars who knew about what Harvey Weinstein was doing for years and years, for at least 2 decades, and did and said nothing. Now they're appalled. So here's the takeaway. It's a big lesson, not about Harvey Weinstein. It's a big lesson about Hollywood. The nitwits who regularly sound off in Hollywood, the liberal morons in the Hollywood elite, are hypocrites, they're fakes, they're phonies, they're cowards, they're whores. Now, what does this have to do with you? Well, no doubt in your life you've looked up to Hollywood stars, or your kids look up to actors. Don't. They're regular people. In fact, they're not as good as regular people. It's Riell Truth, my friends. It's Tuesday. We'll be right back. Stick around.
The American Freedom Network is peaceful.
Nature, which
To make your donation. To check our money, PO Box 175, Johnstown, Colorado. 4534. PO Box 175, Johnstown, Colorado. 80534. Voice freedom on the air. Thank you. Choice videos and forthcoming reminders out of sight and not be out of mind. Let's remember our brave men and women. Care package.
Before joining the New York Times, Dudek worked for the presidential campaigns of both Barack Obama.
Your local veterans organization. This message is from Choice City Electric and Fort Collins. Visit them online or call 970-493-4077. 970-493-4077.
Beloved, do not believe every spirit, but test the spirit, whether they are God, because many false prophets have gone into the world. By this you will know the Spirit of God. Every spirit that confesses that Yeshua, Jesus, has come in the flesh is of God, and every spirit that does not confess that Yeshua, Jesus, has come in the flesh is not of God. And this is the spirit of Antichrist, which you have already heard was coming and is now already in the world. 1 John 4:1.
All right, folks, welcome back to Riell Truth. I am Howard Riell. You know the call-in number, 877-254-7524. When I said the commissioner of the NFL is a whore, I meant it. InfoWars writes, President Trump stirred up a Twitter tornado this morning, taking aim at NFL anthem protests while calling for a change in tax laws that favor the failing league, echoing calls already raised by other GOP lawmakers. Quote, why is the NFL getting massive tax breaks while at the same time disrespecting our anthem, flag, and country, the president asked. Change tax law. Here's a related item from the KansasCity.com. NFL Commissioner Roger Goodell said on Tuesday, wrote a letter to all 32 league owners regarding the protests that had taken place during the national anthem. ESPN's Adam Schefter reported. In the letter, which Schefter shared on his Facebook page, Goodell wrote that, quote, the current dispute over the national anthem is threatening to erode the unifying power of our game and now is dividing us and our players and many fans across the country. Stop. Here is the translation. Here's the real truth. Goodell is now faced with calamity. America realizes his players are spoiled, ungrateful punks. Don't know their asses from a hole in the ground. Don't know why America is great. All they know is they want to vent rage. Well, Goodell was fine with that. He didn't care. What the hell does he care? He's making $44 million a year. The planet could burn. He'd still be fine. But now the golden goose, the goose that lays the golden eggs, is threatened. Viewership is down, ticket sales down, merchandise down, and now President Trump, God bless him, is talking about taking away the tax protection from the NFL, and so suddenly Roger Goodell is a patriot. No. Roger Goodell doesn't care about division in America. Roger Goodell cares about Roger Goodell. He's a whore. And now that his own particular ox is in danger of being gored, now he's coming across as a patriot. He's a fake and a phony. Don't believe him. Let's jump tracks. Go to Sean Hannity from last night. Go. My friend, Senator Bob Corker is another one of those phony, baloney, asswipe politicians who by the way, he's retiring just in time, who realizes he's nothing and figures he wants to attach himself to history by attacking Donald Trump. Well, not exactly the first mental wizard to think of doing that. Corker is a rhino. Corker is not a conservative, and Corker is one of those politicians who doesn't give a rat's ass about you or even about his own constituents. He cares about Corker. Good. Wait and see where he ends up when he retires. I bet you he's going to trade on all the connections he's made in his career to get some real fat, easy, high-paying job. You wait and see. Let's go back to Sean Hannity.
Then is here tonight to react.
Now, my friends, let me interrupt for a second. You hear these moron jocks in the NFL say, we have a right to take a knee. And they're right. They do have a right to take a knee. And the stadium owner and the team owner has a right to cancel the game. They have a right to pull the game. They have a right to tell the players, listen, you sorry sons of bitches, you will not spit in the face of America and then go on to earn millions of dollars. Won't happen. God almighty, would I love to see an NFL game canceled after the national anthem because players took a knee. Would I love to see players fired or at least benched for taking a knee. In America of 40 or 50 years ago, that's precisely what would have happened. The player who took a knee on the sideline during the national anthem would have been out. These days, we've been brought so low by liberalism, that now the scum among us is hailed as heroes. They spit on the flag and they're heroes. People destroy a statue, they're heroes. People vent obscenities or attack people who are peacefully protesting, they're some kind of heroes. Well, not among normal Americans, not among law-abiding Americans, not among the kind of people you and I want to be associated with. Oh, man, we're going to come back and we're going to do some news. Let's see, we're about to take a break. Item, here's what Sean Hannity was referring to. This comes from ProjectVeritas.com. Project Veritas has released a video of New York Times video gatekeeper Nicholas Dudich, who was caught on hidden camera boasting of his lack of journalistic ethics. Dudich, who serves as audience strategy editor, displays a lack of integrity throughout the video, manages videos which go on Facebook, YouTube, Instagram for the Times. While talking about being objective at the Times, Dudich replies candidly, quote, "No, I'm not. And that's why I'm here." We've known for a very long time, my friends, that the New York Times is suitable for toilet paper. Well, here's an editor who's saying he was hired by the Times precisely because he is not objective. So once again, for the umpteenth time, we see the New York Times is not interested in telling you the truth. So why would you ever consider reading the Times again? We'll be back.
And the Word became flesh and dwelt among us, and we beheld his glory, the glory as of the only begotten of the Father, full of grace and truth. John bore witness of him and cried out, saying, "This was he of whom I said, He who comes after me is preferred before me, for he was before me." The Gospel of John, chapter 1, verse 14 and 15. We hold these truths to be self-evident, that all men are created equal, that they are endowed by their Creator with certain unalienable rights, that among these are life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness, that to secure these rights, governments are instituted among men, deriving their just power from the consent of the governed. America's News Network. Census uniform people agree. Police, firefighters, work in our community. We thank them for doing a great job keeping our area live, shop, and raise the family. We realize their job is dangerous, sometimes bad. Message from Census uniform people agree. Call 352-2233. They're on the air because they care. Census, the uniform people in Greeley. Piccolo's restaurant in Denver reminds us that over 750,000 children were reported missing last year. Over 58,000 of these were abducted by non-family members. Keep an eye out for youngsters at play, and if you see anything suspicious, contact the authorities immediately. This message from Piccolo's restaurant in Denver. It's not only the best Italian and Mexican food, it's the people who care. Give them a call at 303-757-5166. 303-757-5166.
All right, guys, with your permission, of course I can do it even without your permission, I'm going to throw it back to Hannity from last night. We're jumping ahead. His guest is Laura Ingraham, and the subject is liberal hypocrisy. Let's listen.
Moral outrage, but only when it suits their political agenda.
It's one thing if you're really for women, whatever they believe, but they're not. They're only for you if you ascribe to a certain set of viewpoints.
But isn't it, if Hillary takes money from Weinstein and is silent throughout this whole
Where's
process?
Michelle Obama? Has she spoken out yet? I might have missed
Well,
it.
they've taken money from him too. Just like in the campaign, I couldn't believe that there was no outrage over the millions and millions that she took from countries where men tell women how to dress,
stoned to death,
killing gays and lesbians.
Yeah, but again, there is no moral certitude when it comes to the left, because they are about conglomerating more power in Washington, keeping the big international institutions afloat, and depriving the deplorables of power to run their own lives. That's the whole point. They don't trust the voters. These people don't trust the regular workaday Americans to make decisions for their own lives. They think Washington should make those decisions. So if you believe in the climate change agenda, the abortion agenda, reformulating the family, whatever their issue of the day is, if you stand with them, they'll defend you to the end until they're shamed.
I don't like being lied about.
Yeah.
Because guess what?
Yeah.
I love women. I'm not the caricature that they paint.
Right.
You know, for all these years, they got one playbook. It's every election.
Yeah, well, it's the war on
then
women, the war on immigrants. Trump is a protector. Remember a year ago, I was looking back on this because you and I were on the air. A year ago, they were saying that if Trump got elected, that the global economy would tank because he's going to be a protectionist and an isolationist, that the U.S. markets would collapse. On election night, you had people on other cable channels warning people and saying, sell.
Our obituary.
Oh, they'd already written that. Remember the night before the election, Sean, we were sitting here.
I was reading your book, and this is fascinating to me. I've always been a Reagan conservative.
Yeah.
You know, tell me one part of Trump's agenda, maybe trade would be one, that's not what Reagan did to get the economy going.
Well, I didn't say on trade, Sean. Remember, Reagan saved Harley Davidson by laying import taxes on cheap Japanese motorcycles. And George W. Bush saw the populist approach in taxing with imports of cold rolled cheap steel coming from China and Asia. So, you know, Obama did a little tariff. Trump wants to do more tariffs. Bush saw the wisdom of that. And the Republican Party has been a, quote, protectionist party. That's true. But guess what they're protecting?
American jobs manufactured.
workers. So Trump taps into that understanding, that mentality. A year ago,
We just want fair trade.
Yeah, no, trade is great, but trade isn't a theory that we debate at the American Enterprise Institute on a Saturday afternoon. That's not trade. Trade is something that we believe in because it betters the life of the average American. That's what Trump understood. That's what the elites don't.
With Steve Bannon, who's up after you, and it's amazing to me, these Corker tapes.
Yeah.
The level of
He goes right to the New York Times. Notice it? That tells you exactly where he's coming.
Released.
He goes right to the New York Times. I think Corker Sean is a Bush Republican. You didn't meet him. He's a nice guy, but he's always been squirrely about Trump. I ran into him. I'm going to tell the Fox viewers something that I didn't write in the book.
All right,
it was too late. I ran into Bob Corker at an airport about, I think it was April or May of 2016. I guess it was May of 2016, June, right after Trump was clearly going to be the nominee. And he was very uncomfortable with the idea of Trump as the nominee. He's like, well, and I said, you should talk to him. You should meet with Donald Trump. I think you'd see what he's all about. He's about the regular person, the working people, make this country great.
He was begging to be Secretary of State.
And he's like, Clemmy, no, I didn't want. Of course he did. He wanted to be Secretary of State. He thought that he might actually be the vice presidential pick.
Yeah. All right. So you're going on a book tour, which is the reason why you can't be here for the next 2 weeks.
Okay, give me a break. I only write a book every 4 years, unlike some other people.
The book is phenomenal, right there. And you go to my website, your website, and we have the list, and people are going to hear you speak. And
Philly on Thursday.
And by the way, in the back, I don't know what happened on that part, but
you know something? He's been teasing me about this cover. That is me.
Well, I like the front cover and read Black Lives Matter.
What? You are bizarre. I'll be in Philly on Thursday, then Myrtle Beach on Friday, Oklahoma City Monday. We're going to have a great
sign a copy for me.
Yeah, I guess. No.
I'm serious. I won't. All right. When we come back, Steve Bannon, he's going to weigh in on the issue of Bob.
Yeah, my friends, Laura Ingraham has written a book. I'm probably going to read it because she's really bright and I want to hear what she has to say. I think I mentioned the book on yesterday's show. That's also worth reading. Item from Deadline.com. With the Minnesota Vikings and the Chicago Bears tied near the end of last night's Monday Night Football, it looked for sure that the game was going into overtime. Then, even with injured quarterback Sam Bradford put on the field last night, the Vikings took control and won the game. Even with the much-plugged world debut of the new Star Wars, The Last Jedi trailer at halftime for the NFL and ESPN, it was not such a great result in what is clearly a season of ratings hurt and protest controversy surrounding the national anthem, even on a night when the latter was not shown on air by the league. Snaring a 7.0 in metered market results, last night's Monday Night Football was down double digits from last week's Kansas City Chiefs' 29-20 victory over the Washington Redskins, down 17% in the ratings. That's actually a regular game season low for the ESPN broadcast game. Unquote. My friends, average Americans are not being fooled by the media, which is ignoring this story in the main. And we're not putting up with these lunkhead jocks giving Americans the finger. Now, maybe these jocks have an excuse. Maybe their parents are brainless animals. I don't know. And maybe the parents never taught them things like respect or gratitude or patriotism. So these jocks might come by their brainlessness honestly. Well, it's time to get educated because Americans just won't have it. And if they can't show respect to the flag, let them go someplace that has a flag that they can respect. Item from InfoWars. Meryl Streep has suddenly changed her tune on alleged serial pervert Harvey Weinstein. After once calling him God, she now says he's disgraceful. After it emerged that Weinstein had paid financial settlements to at least 8 women after they'd accused him of sexual assault, Streep released a statement calling the movie producer's conduct, quote, disgraceful. This contrasts with how Streep addressed Weinstein during a 2012 Golden Globe speech when she literally referred to him as God. Quote, I just want to thank God, Harvey Weinstein, said Streep as the audience burst out laughing. Unquote. My friends, Meryl Streep, wonderful actress, complete nitwit, Hollywood fake and hypocrite. Harvey Weinstein was God one day. Next day, disgraceful. Well, anybody who has any morals or ethics or personal code will feel pretty much the same about a person one day to the next. Only when you're a whore, only when you're willing to sell your allegiance, only when you're completely fake and phony, do you do a 180 on somebody from one day to the next. Meryl Streep is a liberal. Need I say more? Item from InfoWars. Lost in the coverage of the announcement by Senator Bob Corker that he would not run is the fact that the senator has been under FBI investigation for corruption because of a series of business enterprises where it appears he used his public position for his personal gain. Unquote. My friends, if you want to see a photograph of Bob Corker, just open up any dictionary and look under asswipe. All right, literally it's not true, but you get the idea. Item from Fox 59, Dateline, Indianapolis, Indiana. Vice President Mike Pence decided to leave the Indianapolis Colts game Sunday because some 49ers players kneeled during the national anthem, unquote. My friends, you know this already. You've heard this. It's been talked about since the weekend. I give Mike Pence tremendous credit for two reasons. First, he was loyally doing what the president had instructed him to do. Number two, he was apparently wholeheartedly behind it, since he also is a patriot. Now, the word patriotism somehow has gone out of favor in America, just as America's fortunes have gotten lower and lower and lower. What if patriotism was taught in public schools? What if it was taught in high school? What if it was taught, God forbid, in colleges and universities? Shocking thought, huh? Didn't used to be. Item from Jihad Watch. Grooming gangs, that's European for rape gangs, grooming gangs across the country are repeating the horrific abuse exposed in Rotherham, Rochdale, Oxford, most recently Newcastle. Victims and investigators have warned. This comes from England, of course. There are mounting calls for nationwide action to combat sexual exploitation, with authorities accused of playing catch-up after ignoring victims, quote, for decades and decades. Sammy Woodhouse, who was abused as a teenager by the Rotherham ringleader Arshid Mad Ash Hussein, and has waived her right to anonymity, said abuse was underway, quote, all over the country. It's an issue for every town and city. More people are being failed, she told The Independent. I'm hearing a lot of new complaints from survivors, unquote. Survivors. That's what Brits are now. They've managed to survive the third world trash that they've brought into their country, and now they're survivors. Well, not all of them are survivors. A lot of people are being beaten, killed, raped. My friends, this is what happens. Let's be honest. Let's be honest. This is what happens where Islam goes. You want to stop the horror? Stop Islam. Get rid of Islam. And if you're not going to do that, stop bellyaching because you're bringing the problem on yourself. Item from the Daily Mail. Speaking about the wonders of the third world. Item from the Daily Mail. A woman in the Democratic Republic of Congo was publicly raped, whipped, and decapitated in front of a cheering crowd after serving, quote, forbidden fish to a group of anti-government rebels, who later drank her blood, unquote. My friends, remember this strength and diversity. By all means, let's bring citizens of the Democratic Republic of Congo here. Let's bring citizens from all over the third world. Disease-ridden third world, poverty-stricken third world, uneducated third world. Let's flood American cities with them. Because remember, there's strength in diversity. And if you happen to be raped and beaten and decapitated and set on fire, I guess that's the price you're being asked to pay for diversity, right? My friends, I argue in favor of sanity. In favor of survival. Let's stop the flow of third world immigrants coming to America until we decide how the hell we can do it safely. We'll take a break and we'll continue, my friends.
Animal House Taxidermy in Brighton would like to take this time to say thank you to all the brave men and women in the armed forces who have served our country. Business owners, consider hiring veterans, our most dependable resource. And to those heroes back home for missions abroad, know that your dedication, selflessness, and courage are appreciated. May God bless America. This message is from Animal House Taxidermy in Brighton, proud to salute the fighting forces of our country. This is Michael, Control. The American Kingdom Pizza. Please call 205-6245. That's 1-800-205-6245 to make your donation. Send a check for the money over to PO Box 1750, Johnstown, Colorado. 80534. PO Box 1750, Johnstown, Colorado. 80534. Freedom on the air. Thank you. Now this is the testimony of John when the Jews sent priests and Levites from Jerusalem to ask him, "Who are you?" He confessed and did not deny, but confessed, "I am not the Messiah." And they asked him, "What then? Are you Elijah?" He said, "I am not." "Are you the prophet?" And he answered, "No." The Gospel of John, chapter 1, verse 19 through 21. The associates at your 24-hour Walmart Supercenter will not be able to find. No one anywhere is more noble, righteous, selfless, and courageous than our United States Armed Forces. These brave men and women and their families put the bill for our freedom every day. Send a military care package today to let them know that they are in our hearts and our prayers and our thoughts. This message is from the associates at your 24-hour Walmart Supercenter on Highway 287 in Lafayette. They're on the air because they care. Elizabeth Lockerfine and Elizabeth reminds our listeners that the drug problem is well documented. We know our kids will be approached at early ages. We want to applaud the youngsters in our community who have had the strength to say no to drugs. They provide examples to their peers and families to be the best they can be. As for Elizabeth Lockerfine, located at 366 Grand Street in Elizabeth, serving our area since 1943 and specializing in natural life HB and IV and complete custom process. Call 303-688-2240. That's 303-688-2240. We, the people of the United States, in order to form a more perfect union, establish justice, ensure domestic tranquility, provide for the common defense, promote the general welfare, and secure the blessings of liberty to ourselves and our posterity, do ordain and establish this Constitution for the United States of America.
We continue. The assault on lies continues with some real truth. I am Howard Riell. I plead guilty. The show is called Riell Truth. Here is Victor Davis Hanson speaking at the American Freedom Alliance about 2 Californias. We're going to find out what he means personally. I think that's too many. But here's Victor David Hanson.
$1,000 a square foot. And it's like going from Mars to Venus. It doesn't seem like it's in the same state. So what I thought I'd do to make sense of this disconnect that we're all facing, we can leave the Luke's Hotel after all and go 10 miles and it looks like we're in a different country, is try to play the role of an empirical doctor where you look at symptoms, you come up with a diagnosis, you suggest a therapy or regimen, and then you offer a prognosis. The symptoms are very baffling, though, because they're contradictory. On the one hand, with this new gasoline tax and our sales tax increases a few years ago, and our income tax on top brackets up to 13.3, we now have the highest combined tax basket of almost any state, I think, except Connecticut and Hawaii. We're getting record revenues, but we're projected to run $1.3 billion deficit this year. On the one hand, California is praised because the energy consumption per person has gone to all-time lows, and the percentage of so-called green renewable energy is at all-time highs, yet the price per kilowatt is up to 15 cents and climbing and projected to be 30 cents pretty soon, precisely because so many people are going into solar power that the infrastructure overhead is being almost unbearable for those like me who haven't gone green yet. So when you think of California, there's a disconnect with all of that revenue coming in and all of those high taxes. What gets people angry is not paying for it, but being insulted to pay for it as you get very little in return. Now, what do I mean by that? Forbes magazine rated California infrastructure 49th in the country. This is the state that invented the cloverleaf and the freeway system. When I was 12 years old, going to Disneyland was about a 3-hour proposition on the new 99 freeway, 2 lanes, no cross. It hasn't changed a bit. The state's gone from 16 million to 40 million. Part of Jerry Brown's first and second terms, third terms and fourth terms, that the idea if you don't build it, they won't come. If you don't improve the freeways, people will stay off. So when we came up this morning from Los Angeles, we just said to ourselves, what wreck are we going to encounter? What mattress will be in the right lane? What shovel will be in the left lane? What trucker will be texting? And what person will be going in the opposite direction? And it's not, you know, I've been hit twice by people who left the scene of the accident. We were at Pepperdine not long ago, got almost a near head-on at night. So driving on the California freeways is something that's dangerous, even though we're going to have the highest gas taxes. We already have high gas taxes. We pay the most. We're going to have the costliest fuel when you factor in our formulas and the taxes together. And yet we get very little return for it. For these taxes, what about our schools? They rate 46th on 8th grade test scores.
In other words, my friends, liberal California is a train wreck, as it must be, because liberal policies just plain don't work. The maddening part is that people see that liberal policies don't work, and they continue to vote for liberal policies and politicians.
46th. We have 77 billionaires in California. And the richest counties in the United States, the top 10, I think 5 of them are in California. And yet, 1/3 of our welfare recipients live in a state where it makes up 5% of the population. 1/3 of people in California live in
Hold on a second, Mr. Hansen. What is the advantage? What is the advantage of having that large a percentage of the population of California being born outside the United States? Are you implying that people outside the United States are smarter? That they're better educated? That they're more entrepreneurial? Or is that just rhetoric? In a meritocracy, which America used to be, doesn't matter where you come from. What matters is what you know and how hard you're willing to work. If that's the case, what's the difference? If people come from outside or inside the country, well, here's the difference. He's trying to be politically correct. The fact is that the large majority of people coming to America from outside are uneducated. Many are uneducable. They can't be educated. Don't speak the language, don't want to. Haven't assimilated, don't want to. They're here for welfare, especially in California where they know they're going to get it. That's a danger. That's a problem. It's an anchor around America's neck. We don't need any more people in this country, certainly not from the third world. People want to come here, people with educations, people who can support themselves, come. But more people with their hands out, we don't need. In fact, it's killing us. We'll take a break. We'll continue.
And of his movements we have all received, and grace for grace. For the law was given through Moses, but grace and truth came through Yeshua HaMashiach, Jesus the Christ. No one has seen God at any time. The only begotten Son is in the bosom of the Father. He has declared him. Gospel of John, chapter 1, verse 16.
Above all the others, what would it be? And then others comment as well when the time comes. No, it's not Obama.
The right of the people to
It's not. If God forbid President Obama came down with an illness, nothing would change. Nothing. I believe the greatest threat facing America, I believe this my entire adult life, is that we have not passed on what it means to be American to this generation.
And the person or thing to be seen. If catastrophe struck, was your family prepared? Are you confident you wouldn't react in a panic? Is there one place to get all your emergency supplies? Paris Survival encourages you to have confidence through preparation, not panic through crisis. Paris Survival, located at 3366 South Broadway, is a professional, reputable, full-service business providing quality, realistic preparedness supplies at an affordable price. Go online, stop by, or call 303-781-0343. Paris Survival. American Window Tinting Incorporated in Franktown reminds parents, keep an eye on your child while shopping. Children tend to stray or become lost. This poses an opportunity for a would-be abductor. Please make every effort to keep track of your little one at all times. If you have information regarding a lost child, call local authorities at once. This message is from American Window Tinting Incorporated in Franktown. For residential or commercial window tinting, call 303-263-4228.
Folks, here's a guy we haven't heard from in a while. He does what I do, only not as well. Dennis Prager is a radio talk show host. He does a variety of other things like myself. He's written books. Hint, hint. Anyway, here he is being interviewed. I have no idea how far back this goes. He's part of a panel in front of an audience, and what he says is very, very instructive. Let's listen.
May I begin with you, Mr. President?
Well, my friends, you know that Dean is a jackass, which is why he almost became the Democrat candidate for president. So I especially don't care what he has to say. Let's move on. Item from Breitbart. In the first 9 months of 2017, the Swedish Migration Board has reported 2,875 serious incidents against their staff, including threats of rape and assault and threats to set fire to their offices. Particularly worrying for the female employees of the Migration Board, which handles all the country's asylum claims, has been the number of sexual harassment incidents from migrants. Unquote. My friends, by all means, let's bring more and more and more and more Muslims to America.
Beloved, do not believe every spirit, but test the spirit, whether they are of God, because many false prophets have gone into the world. By this you will know the Spirit of God. Every spirit that confesses that Yeshua, Jesus, has come in the flesh is of God, and every spirit that does not confess that Yeshua, Jesus, has come in the flesh is not of God. And this is the spirit of Antichrist, which you have already heard was coming and is now already in the world. 1 John 4:1.
No state shall enter into any treaty, alliance, or confederation, grant letters of marque or reprisal, coin money, emit bills of credit, make anything but gold and silver coin a tender in payment of debt, pass any bill of attainder, ex post facto law, or law impairing the obligation of contracts, or grant any title of nobility. Article 1, Section 10.
Called 352-2253. They want to be here because they care. And the uniform people in Greeley. Piccolo's restaurant in Denver reminds that over 750,000 children were reported missing last year. Over 58,000 of these were affected by non-family members. Keep an eye out for youngsters at play, and if you see anything suspicious, contact the authorities immediately. This message from Piccolo's restaurant in Denver. It's not only the best Italian in Mexico, it's the people who care. Give them a call at 303-757-5166. 303-757-5166.
Item from the Activist Post, Dateline, Worth County, Georgia. In June, violated children and furious parents filed a massive lawsuit against the Worth County Sheriff's Office, conducted an illegal search of 900 students, sexually abusing multiple children in the process. Now, after nearly half a year, a grand jury has finally indicted the people responsible for this heinous deprivation of rights. A South Georgia grand jury indicted Worth County Sheriff Jeff Hobby on Tuesday for sexual battery, false imprisonment, and violation of oath of office after he ordered a school-wide search of hundreds of high school students. Deputies allegedly touched girls' vaginas and breasts and groped boys in their groin area during the search at the Worth County High School on April 14th, reports Rare, unquote. My friends, if these officers are found guilty of having done these things, they should be immediately fired and jailed, where they will undoubtedly learn a few things about sexual battery. Item from the Daily Mail, shocking details have emerged about Cobalt, a CIA black site created by a pair of contracted psychologists who literally wrote the manual on torture. In August, Bruce Jessen and James Mitchell, authors of Countermeasures to Al-Qaeda Resistance to Interrogation Techniques, settled out of court with two survivors of Cobalt, known to prisoners as the Darkness. But while their story will not see the inside of a court, the 274 partially redacted documents released in the case have been obtained by The Guardian and reveal the grim reality of life and death in the prison. They include prisoners becoming so broken they voluntarily climb onto waterboards and one prisoner freezing to death in the prison because Jessen told guards that complaining of cold was, quote, a resistance strategy, unquote. My friends, let's remember who these prisoners were. These are people who either belonged to Al-Qaeda or wished they belonged to Al-Qaeda. These are people who would slit your throat and your spouse's throat and your children's throat. And I'm here to tell you the uncomfortable truth that as long as we play nice, we will not defeat terrorism. If you want to defeat terror, you have to combat it with terror. Item also from the Daily Mail. A 22-year-old honors student was shot dead on her birthday by police in Miami after allegedly driving drunk and hitting a police officer. Carrie Ann Denise Hithon was fatally shot by an officer who claims he was forced to open fire when she drove into a second officer and sent him flying through the air and onto the ground, reported the Miami New Times. A video of the shooting is now surfaced on Instagram, and in the clip, Hilton's car lurches forward as Officer David Cajuzzo rolls over the car's hood, seemingly prompting a second officer to shoot into the window. Unquote. My friends, I haven't seen the video clip, so I can't tell you what's what here. Was she trying to run over the officer? Possibly. Was she driving drunk? Possibly. Was this a case of jihad? Who knows? There's a lot of gray ambiguity out there, my friends. And when police shootings happen, you don't know whether the cop was right or wrong. So jumping to the conclusion that the cop must have been a racist is absolutely brainless. Here's a better suggestion. Let's investigate the hell out of an incident like this, and let's find the truth. And let's reserve judgment until the truth is in hand. So forget all the burning of cars and destruction of storefronts and blocking the highways. Let's learn the truth and then act appropriately within the bounds of the law. All right, we're done. I'll be back tomorrow, my friends, with more real truth. Hasta luego. Take care.